What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And Chris Abacon.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on? Happy New Year. So this will be the first episode past that magical date where the calendar flips to the year 2026. So if you're listening to us on your podcast platform of choice, please continue to do so. Please subscribe. At the end of the year, we were at 13,074 downloads year to date. So thank you very much. That's a great increase. And then if you're listening to us on the radio, so that's at Atlanta Metro's WDJY 99.1 FM, we were up to over 24,000 listeners per week. Again, amazing. Thank you very much for listening to us and our rants on a weekly basis. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
So this article comes from cybersecuritynews.com, written by Tushar Subradutta. And the title of this one is DarkSpectre hackers infected 8.8 million Chrome, Edge, and Firefox users with malware, right? So that's a huge number, 8.8 million, right? Now, granted, that's not as many as are using those browsers, right? Like you look at that and you're like, okay, yeah, that's 8.8 million is a lot. But the way they went about doing it, the reason for the operational sophistication is because they were patient, right? So what they were doing is they had like browser extensions, right? That they injected malware into, and the way they went about doing it, because usually the way these things work is that as soon as something is planted, on your machine, like it's immediate. They take action and they go and they start doing what they need to do. Well, there were times where they waited for years with some of these extensions that they had before they took action to do what they needed to do, right? As little as 3 days to, I want to say I saw 5 years in the article is what they said. And I'm like, wow, that amount of patience that they took, like, because at that point you're just waiting for more and more people. Like the word is not getting out that this is a problem, or it's so small that it's probably not being noticed, and you're just waiting for more and more people to download these bad extensions, these bad browser extensions, to take advantage of it, right? But like patience is one of the things that's the big thing that paid off for them, right? Is people downloading these extensions, not taking action immediately. It's just, yeah. And the thing is, like, these were legitimate appearing browser extensions, right? And so, like, they were weaponizing them, like I said, for like 5 or more years, and they had malicious payloads. So the fact that they can lie and wait like this, and you don't think anything is going on, you don't know anything is going on, because like even when you run your scans, like it's not actively doing anything if you run a scan on your machine, so it's not triggering. You know what I mean? So that's another part of the sophistication that was happening with this, but. This was this was something else, man. Like, and I'm curious if after this being published, like if we're going to see more and more of this, where people are going to have like delayed starts on some of these malicious payloads that they put out there, like in their malware and things of that nature, right? Just to be able to bring more and more people in and then strike at a later time. You never know, right? It's one of those things where you see something good happen. It's a copycat league when it comes to these these ransomware gangs and these threat actors. You never know, right? But Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
My first thought was right. Like my real first initial thought was, when I'm a Mac user, right? And when you go into a website, whatever news website and whatnot, it asks you if you want to be notified via push notifications, or add these extensions to make sure that you're always aware of news or whatever updates, sports, right? And I always say, no, I don't want that. I don't want any of that stuff, because I'm risk averse. I'm a cybersecurity professional, right? I don't want stuff just randomly messaging me, right? Or popping up on my computer because website asked me to. I wonder how many people click yes, right? How many people click yes on that and don't even think twice? Oh, this extension's harmless.
It's like EULAs, right? You see them, you don't read all those paragraphs. You're just
right.
Like, yeah,
so
I want to keep going.
And then from the user perspective, I think, how many people actually care about what they put, if they're using Chrome, Firefox, Edge, whatever, most likely Firefox or Chrome, the most common used. How many of them actually care about or inventory the number of extensions that they're using, right? Or, how many regular users actually take the time to, kind of optimize their browser to that extent? I would say very few. And when you have an organization like this that is capable of creating a extension that is functional as well, it was like weather or something, you're not going to think twice that it could be malicious, right? And the fact that it's so advanced that it only sends, malicious payloads at, random times after a few years, that shows you some of these organizations are in it for a long game. So from the user perspective, think about your browser extensions. Are they from a big company? Are they official extensions from Chrome or Firefox or from a reputable organization? I'm looking through this really quick. Check where it's from. Like you can usually click into some settings and see who the author or the developer of that extension is, right? So at the user level, take some time, just like your password manager. Like where are you going to keep your passwords? Take some time to take an inventory of what you have on your browsers, because your browser is the one thing that's facing the outside world on your computer, right? You're open to the internet, whatever you got. Your browser is extremely it's your window to the internet, literally. So I implore users to take care of that. On the business side of things, right, I'm thinking configuration management, right? It's the first thing I think about, right? And for example, for my company, right, I go into my extensions and it says, you can't do this. This browser settings are controlled by your organization, right? If you go into Edge, Chrome, whatever, configuration management from the business side is like, hey, you cannot do just what you want, right, on your organizations. Now that might be a problem if your organization is, let's just say, a BYOD type organization. You accept those risks, right, where the user could be utilizing, some type of malware through his or her browser. But it just takes some time to really take a look at your configuration management. Are you guys really locking down your users' browsers, right? Are you performing configuration management at that level, at the user level, and at the browser and software level? So those are kind of my quick thoughts. I just kind of segmented. That's where my brain went, right? The consulting mode, right? Like how do we help provide some tips for maybe our listeners, right, who may be listening from, if they're trying to get into cybersecurity, think about what your current organization does at your work computer, right? But the reason why it's locked down is because exactly a reason like this, right? We can't just do what we want, because what we want could be, this super advanced extension that could steal company data. So those are my thoughts. Ryan, what do you think?
This is why I believe bad actors on the internet are just they're better than us in some regards, right? Like again, this is something where they're taking their time to obfuscate, to not be detected. It's akin to a military operation as opposed to a smash and grab, right? Like they're like, okay, part of our line of business, because we have to make money, is we have these smash and grab tactics. We have these other, we're being hired to do this, or we've opted into to paying for these servers to exfiltrate this data. But then on the back end, we also have the the whatever you want to call it, long pole, where over the next 5 years you're going to be able to exfiltrate data or deploy ransomware or things of that nature from this thing that's not being detected. And yeah, it might not veer into the defense industrial base or into more mature enterprises, but we're still able to capture 8.8 browsers from regular users. And we're going to hit the jackpot on one of these, whether it be we drop a keylogger and we steal their credit card information and passwords, or we're able to turn around and scrape their emails and then use that to do phishing tactics. Like, we have a very long campaign going where we can do a lot of damage out there in the real world. So they're just smarter than us sometimes. So and that's why we need more cyber professionals. Like, we're going to allude to that in an upcoming article. We need more people thinking of things like this or detecting things like this to better protect us, because the bad guys are just very clever, and this is a very clever tactic being employed. That's my 2 cents. But Shannon, I go to you for the next topic.
Love the foreshadowing there, Ryan. We're going to see more of this, right? So this next one's from securityweek.com, written by Edward Kovacs. And the title of this one is 2 U.S. cybersecurity pros plead guilty over ransomware attacks. So it was Ryan Goldberg and Kevin Martin. had admitted being affiliates of the Black Cat Alpha V ransomware group, right? So these guys got charged in October, and what it was they were conducting ransomware attacks against U.S.-based companies, right? And so these two of the suspects, 36-year-old Kevin Martin from Texas and an unnamed individual, were employed now, mind you, as ransomware negotiators at threat intelligence and incident response firm DigitalNet, right? So like these guys were insider threats if you ever seen them, right? Like type thing, right? Just the type of jobs that they were doing.
It's like dirty cops.
Yeah, yeah, right. Like that's exactly what it is, right? And then the third suspect was Ryan Goldberg from Georgia, and he was an incident response manager at cybersecurity company Signia, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like so, like that's the thing, right? Like who better to profit from these types of things when it comes to these ransomware games than guys that are in the know, right, about what's going on out there, and that's what it is. So, but they say that the suspects were Black Cat ransomware affiliates, and they were paying 20% of the ransoms they received from victims to the administrators of the ransomware operation in exchange for access to file encrypted malware and platform designed for managing extortions, right? So we've seen this before where we talk about how it's kind of like it's a business setup to these ransomware gangs, right? Like it's not just every man for themselves just doing whatever. Like they are a group and they're organized, and this is the type of stuff that they're doing, right? So the DOJ, upon their investigation, they saw that these three men received a ransom of 1.2 million in Bitcoin from one victim. 1.2 million in Bitcoin, the preferred currency of your ransomware gangs, right? And so Goldberg and Martin, the two that we're talking about in the article, even though there's three mentioned here, they pled guilty to conspiracy to commit extortion for their roles. So they face up to 20 years in prison when sentencing is scheduled for March 12th, 2026. So come March, right, given a couple more months, 2.5 months, we're going to see what these guys end up getting, right? Because the fact that there's so much money involved in this, right? I don't know if they'll get 20 years. That's being optimistic, right? It always says they face up to. You see that a lot where they're like, oh, you can get up to, and then they decide how much it needs to be. But the fact that they were kind of on the inside on this, right? Like I think the penalty should be a little bit more stiff, right? Because you were trusted. You were hired as a trusted agent to be able to go out there and do these things to help these companies out, right? And you betrayed that trust.
If
So
I was their lawyer, I'd be like, this is how they stay sharp, right?
well,
They had to commit the crimes in order
yeah,
to protect people from the crimes.
the defense was probably no, they were just showing them how vulnerable they were, right? Without telling
Right.
anybody how vulnerable they were, right? Like that type of stuff, right? No, man, whenever you're doing any type of investigation or whenever you're doing any type of threat assessments, like you always let the company know. You don't do it on your own and say, see, look what I did for you. That's not how these things go, right? But Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, so my first thoughts were just like Ryan's, like dirty cop, right? And I just thought about how crazy it is for people in cybersecurity. It's like a doctor wanting to harm you, right? So that doctor can profit off your suffering, right? So it's it just goes to show you there's bad apples in every industry, even one that's supposedly like we as cybersecurity professionals are supposed to maintain a level of trust, right, with the customers, clients, whatever it is, and to have that trust betrayed. It's just like it's very jarring when this happens to in our industry. And kind of first thoughts are just, hey, what level of trust do these cybersecurity companies have, and assurance do these cybersecurity companies have to ensure that their employees aren't working in this bad manner? So when it comes to things like this incident response manager, right, at Signia, what could that person have done? Was he working from home? Is it just was he has worked laptop on one side doing scans, right? Because I'm guessing he's an MSP. He's got visibility on an organization's cybersecurity threats and vulnerabilities through some type of RMM software, right? Whatever it might be. But on the other side, he's got, maybe I'm thinking in my head like, oh, he's got a laptop here, just freaking doing penetration testing on the other end, knowing the IP addresses and having access to all that sensitive information. It's honestly very crazy. So my first thought was background checks. Like, make sure your background checks are, legitimate. Make sure these employees don't have, prior histories. But again, it's easier said than done, because I think the advantage is on the bad guy. The preemptive strike capability is easier for bad guys because you never really know when an adversary is thinking to attack, right? So it's one of those things that we, as cybersecurity professionals, have to always, we have to stay on our toes for things like this. And it's like seeing signs, right? I guess this thing is like what I'm thinking now is like, if you're, coworker, if you suspect your coworkers of doing stuff like this, report it. If you see something, say something. That's kind of my first thought. Like, how do you combat this? How do you combat, one, guys that are in the industry, probably privileged users already, right? What can fellow privileged users, what can they ascertain from the actions of their coworkers, right? Because, in the military, we're always taught to see something, say something, right? I employ anybody to do the same, right? Like suspicious activity at every layer, right? It's almost like zero trust. Don't trust anybody, even your I'm not going to say it like that, right? But like if you're at that privileged access layer, it might be helpful to just take a step back. I'm like, hey, is there anything going on right now that could be deemed suspicious? Again, it's easier said from the podcast layer because in real time, if you built a certain level of trust with an employee, it's difficult to detect this type of stuff especially if they're cybersecurity people. They know the tips and tricks. They know how to hide, obfuscate, right? They like to say their actions. So it's a very difficult situation, especially if to be in, especially for these clients, right? And imagine if you're like a customer of one of these companies or these people, like you're like, what the heck did we buy? How do we get to let this happen, right? So that's kind of where my first thoughts were. So can due diligence on background checks, but this is a very difficult thing to prevent, I think, especially considering these guys were cybersecurity professionals, right? So, Ryan, what do you think?
So two things, Ryan, real quick before you start, man. So two things off what you said, Chris. So like being an incident response manager, you already know where the vulnerabilities are. You know the layout of the network. So you know what tools to ask for when you went back to the cybersecurity gang. You'd be like, okay, here's where the holes lie. This is what I need from you, right? Makes it even easier, right? The second thing, there's an inherent level of trust. It's just like us getting clearances in the federal government, right? There's an inherent level of trust bestowed upon you once they've already done as much as they can do for the background checks, right? They're like, okay, do you have any financial difficulties? All right, check, you're good there. Do you have any foreign contacts? Check, you're good there. Okay, we're going to say, yes, you can have access to this information, and there is trust involved. Because really all you're doing is you're just signing paperwork to say, yeah, I won't do these different things. I've been briefed of things or whatever it may be, right? There's an inherent level of trust that I don't know how you combat that other than just constantly assigning someone to watch what someone does all the time. That's the only way you can do that, right? That's the only way. So that inherent level of trust, like that is a risk across the board. It's not just for these companies. We do it in the federal government as well, right? Even with these private companies, right? There's proprietary information that you say, hey, sign this paperwork saying you'll never let this information get out to anybody else. Yeah, sure, I'll sign it. And then they go 5 minutes later and then go back to the ransomware gang and just give up the ghost. You know what I mean? But
right.
Yeah, I
we
mean,
were breached, guys.
Oh yeah, you feign surprise, like what? You cut your pearls, what?
What?
Yeah, but go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
No, I think you bring up a lot of good points. What's crazy, like it's already a crazy situation, right? Like to see these professionals, turn to the dark side. But I mean, isn't it just the next evolution of insider threat to begin with, right? Like, so like you have people who work for companies and they do consulting on the side, right? Like that's the norm. But just think that these were consultants that were doing ransomware on the side is pretty hilarious. But not to the people who paid the ransoms, right? Like that $1.2 million, or they said they may have even been involved in Black Cat's 2024 exit scam that happened, right? So I had to look back on that because they had a hyperlink on this article, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm not sure we talked about it or not, but it was there's no honor amongst thieves, right? So what they did back in 2024 was that they received the ransomware payment, I believe from Change Healthcare was like $22 million in Bitcoin. And then they said, oh, the government, either the government or law enforcement shut us down, and we need to shift infrastructure. So we're going to have to tax the affiliate payments before they go out 90%. So that way we can reorganize and bring our infrastructure back up. And then they turned around and said, "Oh, we got seized, and we no longer have the money. So what we're going to do is we're going to shut down and sell the source code." To which law enforcement was like, "We didn't shut you down. we didn't seize those servers. What are you talking about?" So it's just they didn't want to pay their affiliates, right? So these people had gone out, done the work, and they're expecting their 20%, 30%, or whatever in fees back, and they were like, "Nah, we're busted." So in an effort to keep the money, so it's a tangled web that they weave, right? So you can't even trust your criminal buddies, right? Because they could turn around and then not pay you for said services.
That shouldn't be a surprise, though, right? You're all
You
doing
would
bad
think,
things.
right? You'd be like, "Oh man, I didn't see this coming," right? You get the double cross where you don't get your payment. And then we talked about that a couple years ago too, right? There's a court system for that. There's an underground court system to fight for your illicit payments and things of that nature, or you could potentially be uncovered, right? Like they can dox you as a punishment, or they could blacklist you, where you can no longer be a criminal within these organizations, right? They put your name out there. So and so's a snitch. Don't trust them. So it's very interesting how these networks form and then work just like real businesses, right? To a certain extent, except for they make so many more zeros than we make on the cyber defense and operation side of the house. So I can see how it could be tempting, but two things. Like thing number one, I work too hard for these certifications and education to no longer be able
Exactly.
to use it,
Why throw it
right?
away?
And thing number two, I can't make it in jail. It's not worth it. 20 years? 20 years? Ugh. I can't do one day. 2 hours.
Is that Lambo worth it?
Right.
There's a difference. It's not jail, it's prison. There's a difference, right? Like so, like
Yeah.
you ain't going to county just to do a few nights or whatever. This is prison.
Right.
This is the real deal stuff over here they talking about.
Nah, not for me. I'm not built for that. So that will keep me out of that territory. But I give it to you, Shannon, for our discussion.
This article comes from federalnewsnetwork.com, and it's actually an interview with Terry Gerton. And the title is "The Pentagon's Short More Than 20,000 Cyber Pros. Veterans Can Help Fill the Gap." Right. So they talk about what they kind of harp on in here is veterans having the leadership training they get, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in IT or cyber as an IT or cyber professional, right? And one of the things they hint at in here in this interview, and it's Terry Gerton and Ryan Dunford is the person that's being interviewed here. So what they talk about is that you have these people that because of their military experience, they think they're more adaptable to kind of filling these gaps with what is required, right, in the Department of Defense. So, and I've seen this personally, where there will be people that are not IT professionals or cybersecurity professionals, right? And then they get hired on, and you work with them a little bit, right? Like, and their ability to access certifications, because they talk about how it's perceived that to get these certifications and to get this training is a lot harder than what it is and what it can be, right? But when you're a veteran, there are opportunities afforded to you to where you can jump on and you can make this happen a little easier, a little faster than what it may be for someone out there in the civilian sector. And even in the civilian sector, there's ways to go about doing it to where it can still happen for you. But yeah, being short 20,000 for just Department of Defense, you can only imagine what it's like out there in the private sector, right? Because like we're talking about a small, I don't want to say a small organization. I don't want to say the Pentagon runs a small organization, but to be short that many, that is a very huge downfall, right? Especially in this day and age, right? Like we're on here every week talking about the stuff that's going on out there, right? Like so for them to be short that many pros is very telling. Again, the article kind of hits on veterans having a skill set that's kind of embedded in them, through their service that makes them more amenable to making the transition into an IT or cyber professional in the Department of Defense. But Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
So my first thought was they're short 20,000 cyber professionals, and that's from the civilian side, right? Or are they talking military? I'm thinking civilian side, right? So if they're really short 20,000, so just in the scenario where it's on the civil service sector, right? They're short 20,000, employees, right? First thing I thought was like federal hiring, right? How complicated is utilizing usajobs.gov?
Man,
right?
yeah, that was exactly going to be my point.
Yeah, it was going to be your point.
Yeah.
It's like you've got, I mean, at the time, right? When I was transitioning, I was looking at like federal resumes and stuff like that. Like, you were supposed to make sure that you hit every line item on that specific, job application, or, consider it like a point system, right? Where if you hit all the wickets, you're gonna be looked at. You might get an interview. You might, right? But the people getting an interview are going to be the people that have referrals, right? The people that know people, right? Oh, I know the hiring manager or the GS15 or 14 that's going to be, interviewing me, right? Generally, it's from our experience in the military, it's some retiring military guy, right? We'll see that. Like, they'll go into some type of program management, right? And if that's the case, I definitely see why there's a $20,000 shortfall, $20,000 personnel shortfall, because there's like these natural or unfortunate barriers to entry, right? Which are some of these systematic things, hiring processes that have been, implemented over years of being in the government, right? So, people that have who is just going to have preference, right? But if they're talking about 20,000 people, there's going to be a need for hiring outside of the military or the federal government, right? Consider maybe it's time for hiring officials to consider new graduates at very entry level positions, right? Everybody here is familiar with the ATO process in the government. It's a pain. It's a lot of paperwork. It's not really technical. It's paperwork, right? It's program management at some layer. And the article talks about, or this interview talks about, veterans having program management experience. So the framework is veterans have done the work at some layer. Every time they've inventoried weapons, right? Weapon systems. That's cybersecurity, right? You got to inventory your laptops. You got to inventory your assets, right? Every process you've fulfilled as a veteran during your service is a programmatic implementation that could be translated directly into cybersecurity, right? Cybersecurity isn't just, I know how to code, or I know how to do this or that, or be a system administrator. There's more to that than just cybersecurity, right? There's physical security, which is part of cybersecurity. There's the supply chain risk as well. So any supply professionals, there's a lot of logisticians out there in the military. They can definitely transfer over to cybersecurity, because part of securing your supply chain is part of cybersecurity. It's a domain in NIST 853 itself. And I would be more than willing to say that logisticians have way more supply chain risk management skills than cybersecurity professionals. But cybersecurity is not just an IT effort. It's a business and team effort, right? Nobody has better business, or rather teamwork skills and leadership skills than veterans, in my not so humble opinion. Right? So it's kind of cool, because this talks into the article talks about like transitioning, right? And man, we could talk another 2 hours about just transition stories. All of us here at the podcast have transitioned from the military, right? Again, we were IT pros, right, in the military, giving us a distinct advantage to go into cyber. But we've seen people not in cyber be successful and break into the cyber field. Veterans, we've seen it. And there's a lot, from marketing yourself, LinkedIn, attending outstanding programs like Onward to Opportunity, 4Block, in addition to your TAPS course, right? Not just your TAPS, there's resources outside, free of charge, that can help veterans get certifications for free, get career and leadership training outside of what the bubble of the military promotion system is. It's very nebulous out there, but there are resources. And again, if anybody's listening as a veteran, feel free to hit us up on LinkedIn. You know our socials and stuff. So we're definitely more than willing to have a little chat.
Not social security numbers, social as in social media.
Yeah, social media. So did I say social security numbers?
No, you said socials.
Oh, socials. Yeah, but again, I think the whole transition piece. I'll call it Jeff Lodick. Like, that's a guy. That's our guy. Hit him up on LinkedIn. I'm telling you, if you're a veteran, do yourself a favor and hit up Jeff. Right. That said, I'll give it over to Ryan, because I could talk about transitioning. We could all do it. Talk about transitioning for days.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Like, sitting down and talking to people who are thinking about coming out of the military, or retiring from the military, or even trying to join the military, right? To get those skills to then transition out to take them to the civilian sector. So I think those are great points. But yeah, so you said a lot of what I wanted to say when it came to applying for these jobs, because when I did retire, I tried to apply for like CISA and a few other organizations, and you had to take aptitude tests, which I appreciate, leadership tests, which I appreciate, and then there was the 5-page resume, right? It's just like this is a bit much, right? To get in here, and I know that they've tried to transition out of that, right? They've been working towards being more like a regular resume as opposed to the federal resume, which was kind of crazy, right? It's your entire life in paper form. So I know they are making strides. So I would say, only to add to Chris, is I don't want you to drop the standard. I want you to eliminate the barrier, because we still need sharp people who are going to be a good fit. But to put somebody through the rigmarole just to turn around and hire someone who knows somebody, right? So it just seems like there's a lot of effort that doesn't need to be there for a quick yes or no. So it's just my 2 cents. But no, I think Chris and Shannon are both right when it comes to filling these roles. People who've been in the military are very malleable, and it's not to say that civilians aren't. It's just to say, like, our entire career is us doing a bunch of things that we didn't necessarily sign up for. So it's like, here's your job, but then here's all your additional duties, all your, we don't know what this is or how to fix or who to hire. So you're going to figure it out. And you figure out a lot of things at all times. And then when you come out to the civilian sector, you kind of see how everything's very compartmentalized. Like, my statement of work says I only do this, and that's all I'm going to do. So I think you'll get a lot more bandwidth from a service member, because they weren't brought up in that condition where, like, this is my right left limits, that's all I will do, even though it sounds like very military, but that's not the job when you're in the military. Yeah, you may be an IT person, but you're also going to be something about combat arms, you're going to know something about security, you're going to know something about how to fix whatever is broken in the facility, right? You're going to be a facility manager potentially, right? Like, so you're not only doing your IT job, but now you have to figure out, like, how to coordinate pest control and maintenance on systems, and now you're an electrician all of a sudden. So we do a lot of jobs when we're in the military, and it's only because it's so much quicker to give it to a service member who is paid salary and and is under contract, as opposed to finding someone to then do these things. So I think that builds up your it's like a muscle, right? It builds up your ability to be attentive and to switch gears quickly and to do more with less. So I think we're a good fit for these type of roles and positions. Because when it comes down to it, like again, Chris said, we have a distinct advantage because we grew up in IT. But there's a lot of cybersecurity roles that don't necessarily have to have that background. It's more akin to, are you adaptable? Are you analytical thinker? Do you have attention to detail? How are your soft skills when it comes to communication? And then you can, pivot into roles such as GRC, auditing, third-party risk management, because that's not very technical, but you do have to have really good soft skills when it comes to talking to vendors and figuring out what they are and are not doing and things of that nature. So there are a lot of things within cybersecurity that don't require you to have decades of IT experience, and then you'll slowly pick those things up as you go along, right? So I think that, yes, this would be a great path for military members to go back into service to a certain extent and provide those services. And you're going to spend them up. You're going to pay for the resources. You're going to get them their training and things of that nature. They're going to take off. So I think it's a great idea.
That's a great point, Ryan. Like, think beyond the traditional, I'm going to get out of the military and do IT work, which is what you've seen your IT friends over the military do, which is help desk or some of the other more advanced stuff like scanning, patching, whatever, right? Think beyond that. Cybersecurity is far beyond just the administrative side of IT. It's on the outside, it's a business program, right? It's something that all businesses have to manage. And as Ryan said, risk management is essentially what it is. So think outside the box, expand your horizons beyond the administrator path role.
Absolutely. Well said. So to pivot into what we've been doing, right? Again, it's new year. The podcast has done great things. I'm going to be more mindful to insert more of the things that we do or that we have done when we do these transitions. So definitely hit up ramcyber.io if you're looking for cyber services. So that is my LLC. And it is the umbrella for the podcast, for my book, and all the speaking engagements I hope to do this year, as well as our cyber services. So if you're looking for vCISO services, you're looking for assessments, you're looking for auditing, all that great stuff, please stop by ramcyber.io and hit me up so we can do a consultation, as well as go to ryanwilliamssenior.com. That's my branded page. So if you're looking for a speaker, or you're looking for uh, to get on the podcast, or you're looking for me to be on your podcast, hit that up, and let's talk. I'm super excited about 2026. I can't wait to see what's coming up. But with that being said, how was everybody's new year, and what did you get into?
So, had a couple days off from work, had the holiday. I had a floated holiday that I had to use before the end of the calendar year. So it was kind of weird. Like I had Wednesday and Thursday off and then went back to work Friday for a few hours. You know what I mean? I was like, nah, I should just take a PTO. That's what I told myself. But I was like, nah, I gotta save it, right? I'm going to take a longer trip in the summer so I can save my hours. But no, the children have been off from school. They've been enjoying it. My youngest son, man, there are times where this dude is waking up like way into the afternoon. I'm like, that's too late, son. I don't know what time you stayed up because I'm going to bed early, but I'm like, there's no way you should be waking up at like 2:30. But he enjoying his break, so I'm like, do what you do, man. But there's gonna come a time where your schedule needs to get back to normal again, and you're gonna hate it. But no, went out. When it comes to media watching and whatnot, I got to be honest with you. I find less and less that appeals to me when I look at all these streaming services that I have. But I think all my children are hooked like into these services to where there's something that they want to watch, so I can't get rid of them like I want to. Because I'm like, why do I even have this? I'm not even looking at this service anymore. You know what I mean? Like the stuff doesn't interest me. They don't get anything I ever want to see. But then I'll ask my wife, and she'll be like, well, no, like this one watches this on that. This one watches this on that. I'm like, gosh. I'm like, okay. I was like, I should just cut the cord and be like, oh, I don't know what happened. Maybe we just, I don't know. Maybe, maybe,
I don't know.
maybe,
They're like,
maybe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We know you know. You're the IT guy in this house. Whenever stuff stops working, like we come to you. So yeah, but yeah, man, it's been less and less. I find myself rewatching old stuff that I've already seen before that I know I like. Just the new stuff. I don't know. It just doesn't appeal to me. And I've said this before. Like I'm pretty good at when I see a trailer, I know what's going to appeal to me or something I'm going to like. Very seldom am I off from that. I see a lot of these trailers where I'm just like, yeah, that's not for me. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It was not much for entertainment this week. Just be watching a lot of old stuff. The wife and I had a date night last night, and we went with a specific intention. Like the restaurant we were going to, they have this thing where they have like these big, like the big, huge cheese wheels. And what they'll do is they'll make pasta inside the cheese wheel, right? Like they'll put pasta in it, and then they'll like scoop it on your plate and whatnot. You're not eating out of the cheese wheel, but it's an experience they have at this restaurant. So we went there, and as we're looking at the menu, we don't see this option. And I'm like, huh. I'm like, I wonder why. I wonder why this isn't on here. So I asked the server when he comes over. He's like, we just had it the start of this year. So like this week when they go, because the restaurant's only open for like 3 days a week, that they only do it on Thursdays. They only do the cheese wheel on Thursdays. I'm like,
Okay.
we here on date night to do the cheese wheel. You know what I mean? So that
You
was a
should have
little.
stormed out. You
No, no,
just
no.
banged on the table and then stormed out of there.
I will not accept this. Be like Sonny, I did not murder him. Yeah, no, I still enjoyed it. The meal was still good. Like we tried a few things. We had this thing, it was called sushi nachos, right? It was crazy. So like
Sounds appealing.
it wasn't traditional. So like it was the sushi on it was some ahi tuna. It had different things you'll find on sushi, not necessarily rice, but like the nachos were like wonton. They made it into chips, like cheese wontons and whatnot. And so
Right.
it had a little bit of a sweet texture to it. And then you got like the eel sauce, and then it like some fermented seaweed was on there. I like when he was describing it, I was like, this don't sound the best. I was like, but I'm gonna give it a shot. We out here and try something different. Let's do it. That was probably the thing I liked the most of the night was that appetizer. And I was like, that was not bad. And then I had some seafood ravioli, pretty good, right? Like it
Man,
was a good experience. But the best part of the experience is just having the time with just me and the wife. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Just doing what we do. But and it was a ways away too. So we took a bit of a drive to not have the experience we wanted, but it still paid off for us. But that's pretty much it for me, man. I didn't do much else this week with the time off that I had. Spend time with the kids, watch them do crafts, stuff like that. But Chris, what about you, man?
I mean, probably echo similar sentiments. I had some time off over the holidays, just kind of took some time to relax with my wife and family, right? Nothing crazy. media wise, I've been, we've actually started, we finished a show called The Leftovers. It's off on HBO Max.
Okay. Yeah, I've watched it.
Yeah, I actually really like it. It's really good. It's from the same showrunner as Lost, right, which was back in the day, and I wanted to like recapture that feel, right? It's a mystery box type show where there's always something going on, and it's actually it's actually really good. I think it's pretty underrated for the quality of show, in my
Did you
opinion.
watch Lost? Let me ask you this,
I
Chris.
watched
Did you
all
watch
of Lost, yeah.
All of Lost? So were you? Because I've heard mixed things on Lost. Like after a couple seasons, people are like they kind of lost their direction on what they were trying to do. And like I've read an article where the creators were like, we only expected it to go this long, with the network kept being like, give us more, and people could tell.
Yeah, so it was only supposed to be, I think, 3 or 4 seasons, right? I think 3 seasons actually, right? But of course, the money started rolling in, the ratings were good, right? So there's a little bit of executive oversight on how long a show should go, right? But what really hurt Lost was during the time there was a writer's strike, right? So the writer's strike really hurt one of the seasons. I can't remember which was it, the 4th or 5th season? I don't remember, but it was really short, right? So a lot of I would say creative decisions were made during that season that may or may not have set it up for the end, right? But once a certain plot line got started, it just couldn't go, you couldn't turn it around, right? So I think the writer's strike actually didn't do it any service. But you're right, like the first 2 seasons were just money, right? They were amazing. There was a little bit of there is an obvious decline, right? I think everybody knows that there's an obvious decline, but I just still enjoy the ride. And what kept me going is I'm a mystery box guy. I want to finish things through. Like I want to know what happens at the end, man. Like it bugs me, right? That's why I actually refuse to start shows that were canceled. I can't do it.
Oh,
I can't
I'm
do
the
it.
same way. If I find it was canceled, I'm nope, not touching it.
I keep hearing about Firefly, right? That was canceled, right?
So yes and no.
It.
Yes and no. So Firefly has a movie that ties it all together.
Okay.
So the show stopped, but then because of the demand, they made a movie. So I think it's worth your time.
Okay,
really
good. I actually will consider it now because I thought it was canceled, and I can't do that. Like I can't. That's why I'm like, Game of Thrones, the books, it ended, right? Books, it really didn't end. It's still like it's never gonna be written, right? I just wish he passed the reins over to somebody else. Anyway, I can't watch shows that didn't end. It just bothers me too much. It's like being a completionist for video games, right? You want to if you're playing Final Fantasy, you want to unlock all the flight paths, and stuff like that. Like it's just you want to be able to do that, right? That's right. Kind of my mindset on that.
And that movie is called Serenity, so it came out in 2005.
Serenity, gotcha.
Yeah, so watch the show and then watch the movie.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. I think you really get me rethinking about Firefly, so that's good. And then obviously there's whole college football going on. I think Shannon's been watching it. I think college football has been the best it's ever been, in my opinion.
To be honest, I haven't been watching, man.
Really?
I don't know why. It just has not interested me. Maybe because Penn State just took a dump this year. We beat Clemson, right? Like that was good.
Yeah.
Like I haven't been watching the playoffs or anything like that. And somebody told me a stat. I'm gonna real quick. Somebody told me a stat. So the top 4 teams that got the bye the last 2 years, the only time one of those teams has gone forward was this year with Indiana. And I didn't even remember that. Like last year, none of the top 4 made it past their round, which was the second round because they got a bye.
Only Indiana made it this time.
This year. So in the last 2 years, the 8 times that they've had a first round bye, Indiana's the only one that's done it in the last 2 years. I was like, that is interesting.
That's crazy. So you don't want people are going to start tanking so that they don't get to. Yeah, ranking. It's like, no, I want to be in 8 through 12. What is no? It's a 4 through. Yeah, it's 4 through 8. 4 through 12.
5 through 12.
5 through 12. There you go.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But I mean, really, I'm a Minnesota fan, right? So for me, college football is more like I want to see good games. And for regular viewers like myself, who's only seen Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State win, Michigan win year after year after year, to have 4 new teams for me as a I like college football, but for a new team to be making it and the parity is just so much more interesting. right? Versus just seeing Alabama in win every year. It wasn't interesting to me. I'm like, I'm sick of the SEC. SEC is everywhere. It's just SEC football, right? There's SEC bias. Like you're watching that game with what was it? Was it Ohio State and Miami or something like that? Anyway, one of the comments was like, of course the refs are trying to keep the SEC still in the game. Was it Alabama? I don't remember. It's I just think it's more interesting from the outside looking in as a non-SEC person, right? And it's just a lot more interesting for regular people, I think, to see other teams get a shot. I was really excited for Miami, right? That's the one game I was like, let's go, you, yay. Just being a Floridian. One of the guys did this where he's like, you, and he turned it into a Z. It's like, what does that mean? I think it's cool. It's just like, cool. I like that. And I think everybody in Florida was like, yeah, let's go Miami, beat Ohio. Anyway, that's been kind of my holiday. Games wise, I've just been playing WoW casually, right? Just nothing crazy. There's a new expansion coming out next month or in March, right? So I'll probably play that a little bit, but nothing crazy on the game side. I don't really have too much time for video games anymore. But yeah, that's been my holiday. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. So for me, since last time me and Shannon talked, what did I do? So I caught up on Stranger Things, even though I said I wasn't going to. I just wasn't feeling the fifth season. It's not their fault. It's just it's too long in the tooth. I don't want more than 1 or 2 seasons of anything. If I love it, just let it go.
Is it over?
It is over. So what happened was I had to catch up because my daughter wanted to go see it in theaters. So me, my daughter, and Junior went and saw. She booked the AMC. I'm just like, oh man, wish she did the B&B. So we had to get there extra early to make sure we got seats, which was fine. And what happened was
they don't have assigned seats at this theater you went to.
Nope, not the AMC by me. Yeah, like look at your face, like peasants. We showed up early enough where we got some good seats. Concessions took forever because I didn't know this, but people DoorDash and Uber movie food for home. So yeah, so it got slammed with us being there trying to pre-order, us going through the line like normal, and then the Uber and DoorDash people. It was a nightmare. And everyone had concession money because when you bought the tickets, because it was a special event, each ticket came with a $20 voucher, which I did not know. So I had $60 to spend, right? So I'm getting popcorn and candy and all the normal stuff, but so is everyone else. So I felt so bad for the teenagers behind the counter, right? And the only reason I say teenagers is because a lot of them look young, but I tried to order a beer and the lady was like, I can't serve you that. And I was like, oh man, I got the wrong line. I wound up getting my concessions. I didn't get into my seat because I didn't want the kids to miss anything. So I didn't get to my seat till like 30 minutes in, but my son was like, you didn't miss anything yet. Like it was just starting to because it's a 2-hour event. So it was just starting to actually progress. So yeah, I was just standing there patiently, right? People losing their mind, just like, meh, I'll get my food when I get it. So I finally did get it, and I brought it back to the kids and sat there and watched the movie. I thought the ending was pretty good. Like there's only so much you can do because of the, like for me, those long breaks, like sometimes between seasons was 2 or 3 years, right? So it was cool because they did a lot of nostalgia, right? They showed old images of them and like how they currently look because they're all grown ups now. So it's like seeing them as when they're like 10, and seeing them when they're like 20 was pretty cool. So I thought they wrapped it up good enough, like for a series that ran almost a decade. I just wish that this wasn't the norm because I watched the show Pluribus, right? It finale. I thought it was really good. I think you'll like it, Chris, if you have not already checked it out. It's a mystery box show that's different, but they're saying they're not going to be coming back until 27. So it's like that's a long time between seasons, and it's just becoming the norm. And animation, same thing. Like you're getting these year or two gaps. Like I think what is it? The Last of Us season 2, part 2. It's not till like 27, 28 is when that comes back. So like these are humongous gaps.
You know what kills me about this? You know what kills me about this, and I don't know why they don't do it like this, because you've had some series that have done this. So Matrix, they filmed 2 and 3 at the same time, and they just broke it up, right? I want to say Lord of the Rings or one of those like that did the same thing.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings did the same thing.
Just commit these actors for like a year and get your 3 movies out of it, right? And then, like, if you still want to space them out, that's fine, but you don't have to wait. Because what you also have is like, if you have deaths on some of these actors, like, how do you make that work at that point? Especially when you have someone that's the age of Sir Ian McKellen, right? He's like 80 some odd
Right.
years old, right? Like Patrick Stewart is in his 80s. Like if you're going to put him on a movie or a series or something like that, the realism is that they may not last that long. Just get them for an extended period of time. Have them clear their schedule, right? Be like, hey, this is what we need you to commit to. We need 12 months, and this is what we're going to do. 3 movies, boom, make it happen. Like they keep doing this where they'll get their little 4 months or whatever, and then be like, all right, come back. And like me, I lose interest when you do stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I'm not waiting that long because you're more than likely going to
Right.
disappoint me anyway. But sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. You're good.
that annoys me when they do that, and I'm just like, that's 2 years away.
Yeah, because same thing happened with Severance, right, Chris? Wasn't that a humongous gap between the two?
Yeah, a huge gap for Severance. But I think it needed that gap because Severance was an Apple TV show, right? I think Severance needed that time for people to get the word of mouth. Because like I watched Severance like I think 6 or maybe almost a year or so after it actually came out. It was just like I just saw on Reddit, oh, you should definitely watch the show Severance. And it built up, right, that excitement. So I think for Severance, I think it helped it because it was such a new show on a new platform, right? But in most cases, I think I definitely agree with Shannon. Like I need like, hey, it needs to come out next year or I'm gonna forget about it, you know?
Yeah. Because Pluribus, because I like it's really only a handful of people at any given time. It's just there's not a lot of actors in that show.
Mm.
And I think they say it's because of writing. Like they're still in the writer's room figuring it out. I'm just like, but you were scheduled for 2 seasons off the rip. Shouldn't you have the first 2 already figured out? And then you work on the third, right? I just don't know how it's totally different nowadays. Because we used to get a lot more content faster. Not anymore. So, but where was I at? So yeah, so I watched Stranger Things. I thought it was a pretty good conclusion. My oldest son, so Junior, wanted he's on this movies with a twist kick right now. So he was like, "Hey, have you ever watched the Usual Suspects?" And I was like, "Yeah, like in the '90s." So I remember the twist, but I didn't remember a lot of the movie anymore. It came out in '95. So I watched it with him, and I was like, "Man, this still holds up. This is a really good movie." So now he wants to see. There's a new Korean one coming out. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the actor from Squid Games is in it, and it'll come back to me probably after we get done recording. But the movie comes out on the 9th, I want to say,
Nice.
and the premise is he's out of work and he's trying to get a job, and there's several other candidates as well trying to get the job. So he has to take them out one by one. So he's the only one eligible for the job. And it's just showing how he's kind of devolving from a regular dude into like a killer. I was like, I'll watch that. I think that would be pretty cool. So that'll probably be my next movie. But there's just not a lot coming out this year that I know of. And I'm waiting for that Spider-Man. That's not till like June or July. And then obviously Doomsday, that'll be in the fall. So just waiting on that type of stuff. Oh, Wonder Man comes out. So the Disney Plus show Wonder Man. I'm excited because I like the actors that are going to be in it, but I can already tell just from the preview that they're not going to show what I want to see until the last episode. So it's like, you're going to drip feed me these shows. I might just wait till it's all out and then watch it, so I can marathon it. What else? I started the newest Knives Out movie, Wake Up Dead Man. I like those movies, so I thought the first one was excellent. The second one was okay. I heard the third one is more like the first one. But I started mad late. I had I cut it off. Like I was supposed to fall asleep. I was like, I'm not gonna finish it. It's like 2.5 hours. So I got like 45 minutes into it. I was like, this is really good, but I don't want to wake up and it's asking me, am I still watching?
Did you actually like it?
The first 45 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, so far.
I thought each successive one was worse.
So you finished the third one?
Yeah, I thought
okay.
I talked about. Maybe I didn't. I might have missed it.
Man, so am I being set up for failure? Because so far it seems okay.
Ryan, me and you are different, man, when it comes to the stuff that we watch. I thought the first was the best. The second one was a little worse than that, and the third one is the worst of the three to me.
Okay, maybe it'll fall off once I start watching it again. I just like the premise, right? Like it has the characters. Like I don't know the main guy, the priest. I don't know him from any old stuff, but I just like his character, right? Like
you don't know the priest. That's
Thanos. No, not the Montessori or whatever. No, the young priest.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know that guy, but the boxer turned priest. But yeah, Thanos is the. And then you have what's it, Jeffrey Wright? Yeah, it's like a bishop or whatever. So I'm like, I like these characters, so I'm hopeful. I got to maybe I didn't get that far in there. I got to the beginning of him meeting Kerry Washington's character, so it's pretty early on.
It's
like
star-studded. It's star-studded, man.
Yeah, because they showed they call her the harlot or whatever. Like they showed that scene. I was like, oh man, it's crazy. And then they started showing Kerry Washington's character, and I was like, I'm not gonna make it, so I cut it off. So I'm gonna try to finish it today. But I'm just like you. Like I have all these apps, right? So like my wife laughs at me because I'll start the same routine every night. I'll go to what's my first app that I go to? I go to Netflix, and then I'll go to HBO Max, then I'll go to Paramount Plus, then I'll go to Peacock, then I'll go to I think I AMC Plus. I know there's nothing there.
Just get cable at that point, man. I mean, like at this point, it's like crazy.
The majority of it's free.
Where we're at.
So
That's where we're at.
like so my cable provider is part of the HOA. So all those apps I just mentioned outside of Netflix is paid for by T-Mobile, and I want to say Peacock is paid for by like Walmart Plus or whatever. But for the most part, a lot of those are I'm paying for Disney though. Disney Hulu, I'm paying for that. But for the most part, the ad versions are part of the cable package. So like I don't really pay for them, right? Unless I don't want to have ads. And then I'll like again, like Netflix is paid for by my phone provider. Amazon is paid for by my Amazon subscription, right? Like stuff like that. But yeah, there's like one show on each one of those. And then I've been glued to the TV because of recent events. So I have been watching a lot more of local news and CNN, what do they call it, MS Now or whatever, like the whatever they call themselves now, and Fox is flipping between all of those to get the different takes because they are very much polarized. Like so, I'm watching all of those. I'm kind of glued to that. Then no anime. I'm searching for an anime I want to watch, but I have started playing a game. So right, remember I was going through that game fatigue. I was like, I don't know what to play. So I skipped Resident Evil 7 and 8 because they're in first person. So I like my Resident Evils to be third person, me running around. I just, for whatever reason, I lose something when it's in first person. Like I just don't like horror in first person. It's like I can't see enough. So they a long time ago, I was not aware of this. They patched 8, so 8 has a third person perspective patch. So I was like, oh, okay, that's dope. So I had 8, but I never played it. I got it through like PSN Plus or something like that. And then I just paid for the DLC that came with the patch, and I've been playing through that. It's actually a really good game. Like I've really been enjoying it. It feels more like Resident Evil 4, except for like there's a lot more space, right? Like because you start off in a tight kind of corridor castle type situation, like your basic Resident Evil, like your police station or your mansion is kind of like how it starts out, and then it opens up into the village. So I'm like, okay, this is dope. So I've been playing through that. I'm probably halfway through it, I want to say, and enjoying it. So I don't know what's after that though. I don't know what to play after I get done playing this one. Hopefully something new will be out by then. But enjoying that to keep my attention. And I had a interview with the Veterans Museum. So for all those veterans out there, definitely check it out. Go to vetmuseum.org, and it was set up by a veteran where basically veterans come on and tell their stories. So you can flip through different campaigns, you can flip through different time periods. So you can say, okay, I want to see Vietnam vets, or I want to see Operation Iraqi Freedom vets. Or you can go by service, like, okay, I want to check out the Marine vets and things of that nature. And the program was set up to basically track our stories, and then it goes to the Library of Congress, so it becomes a public record, so people can go back and check it out. And they have these kiosks. Some of them are in like veteran homes and other places like that, where people can click on it and then they can hear the stories of people in the military. So I really enjoyed it. It was a great interview. You fill out the questionnaire beforehand so they can know how long you've been in, or service experience, what campaigns you're a part of, etc. And then you just take a trip down memory lane as you're talking to the interviewer. So it should be done, he said, probably less than a month. And then I'll get a copy of it, and I'll upload it onto the page and to the YouTube channel and all that good stuff. Maybe even the podcast, if it's we take a break or something like that. I'll add this episode. But I really enjoyed it. It's like a time capsule, right? So like my kids can look back at it, or future veterans can check it out so they can get my experience. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I suggest everyone do it no matter how long you were in the military, because we all have cool stories to share. So and that wraps it up for me. I just been getting ready for my cert coming up, right? I got my first ISACA cert coming up, where I'll be taking their AAIR. I have not started it yet because I'm waiting for my employer to come back online. I'm like, hey, I got in this thing, so I'm gonna need you to fund this. Hopefully, because I don't want to pay out of pocket. And I'm super excited. It'll be my first ISACA cert, and it'll be my first AI cert. So I get to kill two birds with one stone, starting the year off. And then I want to be like Chris when I grow up. So I'm going to immediately pivot into getting my CCP because CMMC is here, people. So I need to get that rolling because I want that to be a major offering through Ram Cyber. And speaking of which, definitely go to ramcyber.io. Check out all of our different offerings and our services. I'm really trying to get that ball rolling for 2026. I've reached out to several small businesses to see how I can be of value and to help them mature their cybersecurity posture. And you, dear listener, who's listening to either the podcast platform of choice or WDJY 99.1 FM in the Atlanta metro area, hit me up if you need cyber services. And I already have 11 people scheduled for interviews. So every week from next week to the next 12 weeks, I have interviewees. So I'm super excited about that. We're definitely rolling out pretty strong. So I need to hire somebody. That's going to be a lot of editing. I'm not excited about that part, but I got to land this plane. So definitely continue to check us out on your podcast platform of choice. Hit us up at all the websites that go by our name. Hit me up personally. I'm at Ryan Security Guy, or you can go to RyanWilliamsSenior.com. And where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Chris Abacon, last name spelled A. Bacon.
There it is. Stay safe, stay secure, and Happy New Year.